Hi, how you doing?
Ron,
How's
how are you?
everybody?
Uh,
Hi.
let's
Hello.
give us a proper introduction, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Multiverse Rangers podcast. I am Chris, the Gold CT Ranger. I am the host of this particular part of the show. But I'm going to introduce you to the co-host, who's going to introduce who our special guest is. Our co-host, Joseph Van Camp. Go ahead and introduce our guest, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am the co-host for this live this evening. This is one of the probably one of the greatest composers of our time. Literally the Mozart of the Power Rangers universe. He is right up there with John Williams. He's written the themes for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, for Zeo, Turbo, In Space. He did I think he did Beetleborgs, or I'm not quite sure if he did Beetleborgs.
I don't even remember.
But he did VR Troopers, he did X-Men, he did Mummies Alive. Please welcome the phenomenal Ron Wasserman.
Thank
Hey,
you.
everybody, how you doing?
Joseph, can I just say something? You missed one. Dragon Ball Z.
Oh yeah, Dragon
Yes,
Ball Z.
I did the score for that, not the theme. I wish I did that theme.
the score, but that was a good score, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks.
was awesome.
All right,
That was a
Joseph,
fun one.
tell them how this works.
All right. Well, how this will work tonight is that we have our castmates here. They will each ask a few questions.
Okay.
We will have our hand raising method. Raise your hand. If when we call upon you, you can ask your question. Until then, please follow the decorum. Don't talk over each other. Second, uh, about halfway through, we will have about a 15-second break where everyone will be silent. That way, it'll give time for our sponsors to be plugged into our program. Is that everything? Is that okay with everybody?
All
Yeah.
right, sounds good to me. Without further ado, let's get this.
All right. Who would like to put up?
I will.
All right, Becky.
Okay. Ron, do you have a muse to help you get these songs written the way that you want them? Is there like a muse in your life to help you go forward with your art?
No, not at all. It's just whenever I'm handed a project, I just kind of usually instantly hear what that theme or what that score should sound like. And then I just have to sit and get it out of my head and into an actual recording. But sometimes it goes really fast and sometimes it doesn't happen too quickly. But a majority of the time, I hear the idea right away.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's art. That's an artist.
That's luck.
Up next, I believe raised his hand first. Our head writer Elijah.
By the way, you're muted.
All right. My question is, when you first started composing with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers or with the Power Rangers casting in general, did you know that it was going to be such a huge phenomenon within the youth then and now?
No, I really had no idea because when they came in with the show and said we need a theme, and so I just that's like one of the quickest themes I've ever written. It took about 2.5 hours, and I was done with it. And the next day they called and said Fox loved it. So I said, "Who are we going to get to sing it?" And they said, "No, we're keeping it as is." And that launched my screaming through my throat rock career. But no, I had no idea. I think after the show aired, which I don't know how long that was after I wrote the theme, then they had a gathering in the Hollywood Hills at a place called the Amphitheater at Universal Studios, and traffic was backed up for 5 miles. And that's when I suspected it was probably going to be a pretty big hit. But you never know for how long. Sometimes things are huge for 2 months and they die out. This one just keeps going. But no, I would have never dreamed.
Okay.
All right, the next person to raise their hand is Rachel. Then following her, we will have Raphael ask his question.
My question is about the theme song fight and and then about the Clintons, about how did that all what blew up?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that was the first song I wrote was Fight. It was kind of the most obvious lyrics to use for a bunch of people fighting. And as time went on, I think through the first year and a half, the show started getting blamed for a lot of kids committing violence in their family or beating people up. So they tried to blame the show. When they couldn't really blame the show, they decided to blame the music. Now, the head of the company, Haim Saban, who created this thing, he was very good friends with the Clintons. All the fundraisers were at his house in Beverly Hills. And one day the head of music came in and just said, you've got to tone it down on the music, no more words that incite any kind of violence, no more minor chords. Everything should be more uplifting and positive. And so I considered it a great compliment that I pissed off the White House.
Wow.
Wow. Did not see that coming, did you?
No, not really.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
That was brilliant. That was really.
wow. Oh man.
Well, Ron, you are certainly one to make an impact.
Yeah, a little scary. You don't mess with those people. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine.
Raphael, you raised your hand next, and then following you will be our friend Orlando here.
Well, Rachel kind of asked my question, Ray, so I'm gonna ask this one. When because I know you received that same answer. You gave that same answer to the Blue Hyperforce Ranger about the fight song. But now my question is, what happened with the Mystic Force song?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
you.
well, they absolutely, yeah, they had, I'd done SPD, and then the following season, Disney called and said, we've gotten a great response out of SPD, so we need one now. The show's called Mystic Force. So I did a rock version and delivered it to them, and they said, absolutely love it. It's a go. We'll call you in a week or so if we have any notes. And then about a week later, when the head of music at Disney called and said, well, we have a couple of new young producers, and they've decided now that the show should be rap, the theme. And I said, well, I'll give it a try, but it's probably going to suck. And I gave it a try, and it did suck. And so they went with something else. It's really that simple. I lost the gig to that, and it happens.
Thank you, Mr. Wasserman, for that answer. And Zane, you're next.
Can't hear you, Zane.
You're muted.
You're muted.
Zane, we need you on mute, buddy.
Thank
There you
you. Sorry about that. I wasn't aware. My question is, when you're composing a theme for a show, whether it be Power Rangers or etc., what is kind of like the process you use to do that? Like, do you have like a pre-mental idea of what you want it to sound like, or do you just go with the flow and just hope everything works well?
That's a great. Sometimes I just hope it'll work well, but most of the time, I'll have a conversation. It could happen at any time. This has happened on every show I've ever worked on, and sometimes I've had to be really seemingly rude, where they'll be discussing what they want. The idea pops in my head. I don't want to lose that idea. So I've literally had times in the middle of meetings said, I have an idea. I'll call you back. Click. then I used to have, now I use my phone, used to have digital recorders all over the place. Go ahead and record the idea, listen back to it, try to figure out what I meant, go down to the piano, work out the basic chords. And then from that point on, it's just a matter of getting it out of my head and getting the recording done. It can be labor intensive and sometimes very frustrating, because sometimes what I hear isn't how it ends up initially, and I have to keep tweaking it. But generally, the ideas come to me pretty quick. And if they don't, I just, when I was doing a ton of commercials, I would just kind of walk around in a circle for however long it took until the idea hit me. And I remember that specifically really with a Hyundai commercial. I was in my backyard walking around for about 2 hours, and all of a sudden got the idea and ran into the studio.
Thank you.
That will bring us next to Chris.
Okay, Ron, you I don't know if I heard this correctly, and this came from our partner here, our co-host here that you spoke with at Ranger Stop. We know that you are the best of the best when it comes to composing some theme songs that we love in our genre. What would it take for you to do something for us, say?
Oh, Joseph and I had discussed it, that I'd bang out like an instrumental theme, hopefully next month, for
wow, really?
you guys, so that you have, and you could do. I think originally, Joseph, you said a minute and a half. I'm thinking 15 to 30 seconds, because you don't want people to go, you want to play the theme and get them into the show.
Right.
But yeah, I'll come up with something interesting instrumental that's very Power Ranger-esque for you.
Oh wow, Ron, that's great. I mean,
if you have
we
an
can't
opening
wait.
graphic or anything, that would be.
Rachel, can you?
If you don't, it's fine too.
We actually do have one, but it was from our partners. But if you want to send that over to Ron and see what
Actually, Ron, what I'll do is I'll direct to you. I'll send you a one of our YouTube videos that has one of their digital our intro in the beginning with our with something like that, and
I'll mute it. I'm not going to listen to what you have. I'm just going to look at what you have.
All right.
That's fine. That's perfect.
Okay, great.
Okay, yeah, I'll send you one of our YouTube videos. That'll help you out there. Perfect. Okay, cool. Thank you, Ron.
Sure thing.
All right. Now, before we get to Elijah's second question, I actually have a couple of numbers to put out there for you. I was watching the History Channel show, The Toys That Built America, and the show that you were a part of, it was a part of that show, Power Rangers. Mm-hmm. I'm going to put out these numbers. $140 million in the first week alone for toy sales. Now, how does it feel for you being a part of a show that had that much of a response, but from the fans?
There is nothing better than having been part of some of the biggest shows from the 90s, which just, nothing has really matched it. I've done like 3,300 episodes of television, 300 commercials, been signed, have toured with my band Fisher, with my ex-wife. I mean, it's been an astoundingly fun career, but nothing was ever as big as X-Men and Power Rangers. So to be connected to that and to have done something that people recognize and pretty much know worldwide is great. It's pretty rare that somebody will find out I did it and say, yeah, I think I heard it once. I don't know. I can't remember, but usually people know it. And it's fun. It's great. It's an honor. I busted my ass to get to that point, but at least something happened.
I wanted to say thank you. And Elijah, now it's your turn to ask a question.
After that, we're going to close out the segment and get ready for the next one.
All right, Mr. Wasserman, how old were you when you knew that you wanted to work with music, and did you always know that you wanted to compose, or was that something that came later?
I started playing when I was 3 and writing when I was 5. And when I was 5, my music teacher had my first little finger exercise thing published in finger exercise books, which I think he just probably put his name on. But I remember that's my first thing. I have the manuscript from it. But I didn't know anybody in the music business. None of my friends played instruments. And so I was very much into photography, but I constantly was playing piano, constantly writing. And then after high school, I ended up at this college in Valencia run by Disney called California Institute of the Arts, where I studied photography, but spent all day in the ballet studio playing piano. So it was pretty obvious that I needed to figure out how to get in. I just had no idea. I literally just started joining bands who were advertising keyboardists wanted. And then I'd get in and I'd start writing and tweaking it. And then the band would break up, as they always do, and move on to the next band and the next band, and kind of build a career in LA, touring around Los Angeles. So I knew I was on the right track. Did I ever think I would get into television? Not in a million years. It was a complete fluke.
Wow. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Wasserman.
Sure.
Yes, thank you indeed. We're going to take a quick break right now so we can give tribute to our sponsors, of course. Yeah, we got to get them out of the way. We'll be right back with more Ron Wasserman in the Power Rangers Multiverse Rangers podcast. For now, we shall return.
Alex Gray and Casey Jr. in the training room working hard and training hard. But now, feeling out of breath and exhausted, Chris decides to join them. While hydrated, while sipping his monkey madness, Chris sees the exhausted Rangers and can't help but let out a little snicker.
And how in the world that you're so time?
Yeah, honestly, this point only to me by the end of the week, I'm dude, no, what's the secret?
Chris sips his monkey madness.
I'm glad you asked, my friends. I keep myself hydrated and energized with the W hydration line. It's just a part of many things that's a part of the W family.
W? I know I don't get out much, but what's that?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Casey Jr. It's a top of the line energy drink and also an energy booster. So it pretty much gives me what I need to tackle the day and own the week. And you know what? It's also really good when you're out there, fighting them baddies. You really need to have your energy out there. But it's also good for content creators, gamers, and of all sorts. It's genderless energy. It's made with coffee fruit extract. It comes with many delicious flavors and no added preservatives at all. So it's real good for you guys. Here, I got a little bit of Galaxy Grenade. We'll try some of that.
Oh, thanks, Chris. But quick question. As Rangers, you don't really have that much of financial advantages. So, is there anything we can do to kind of budget that, or a way of saving a few bucks?
Oh, absolutely. I know how everybody struggles nowadays and they want to save a few bucks. I'm glad you asked that, my brother. So you go to www.w.gg and enter the promo code PR Multiverse, all caps and all one word. By doing this, you get to save 10% off on the entire order, man. It's awesome stuff. Plus, if you want to check out what else they got some great swag that you can show your W support proudly. Like hats.
As that is being said, a disturbance can be seen on the computer screens.
Okay, guys, we need to report to ops and get our mission. Riaz, this is Chris. We're on our way. I hope you guys are energized. It's time for a gold rush. And we are back with more of the Power Rangers Multiverse Rangers podcast. And we are here with, oh my goodness, my breath is taken away. I'm telling you this right now. We are here with the phenomenal, the most powerful composer of our genre, Mr. Ron Wasserman, the composer of the Power Rangers, X-Men, and many, many others from our Fox Kids era. Ron, welcome back to the show. The second half. How you feeling, man?
Good. It's good to be back. That was a nice break. I did a little jog. Everything was good.
Excellent. Glad to hear that. Everybody's all energized and more phenomenal. Awesome. So we're going to go through this next segment here. We're going to get through as many questions as we can within the time remaining. So we're going to start it off. I'll go start ladies first. We're going with ladies first. We're going with Rachel. We're going to start with her.
You've done the Dragon Ball theme song, the one you mentioned when you came on. What was that like doing that?
No, I did not do the Dragon Ball Z theme. I did the score for it for the first 3 years. I never even heard that theme until maybe a decade later, because my cuts didn't have any theme in it. It just was a blank black screen that said theme, and I would score around it.
Okay. Thank you, Ron. Next, we're going to stick with the ladies. Becky's next, and then we'll go with Orlando next.
Hi again.
Hello.
I'm wondering, how much does your songs go for on the market?
Well, it varies by the show. When I was at Saban, they took all the rights. I had some on some of the songs, but I didn't really start getting my full writer's share. They split a song in half. There's publishing and writers. And the production companies will always take the publishing, and the composer usually gets all the writers. So
and your camera's down, honey. Sorry.
It's kind of hard to guess, but I know years ago somebody told me the Power Rangers, I don't know if it's the whole show or the theme, had generated about 275 million in royalties, which I have no part of. Yeah, but I mean, it's huge. I know, like, the guy, I don't know him, but I know, like, the guy who wrote the theme for Seinfeld, he made about $4 or $5 million off that.
Wow. Nice.
So if you have something that's big, it can be pretty lucrative.
Yeah.
Okay. Zane, you're up, and Orlando is at bat. Or I'm sorry, Raphael is at bat.
I'm gonna circle back a little bit to an answer you gave me for my first question, saying that sometimes the idea for a certain theme or song can happen in a matter of minutes, or it can take a couple of hours. In your honest opinion, what was the least amount of time and the most amount of time you had working on a song?
I would say, well, Power Rangers was the shortest. And I think because there was a show called, what's it called? Dino Squad, which was a CBS Saturday morning show. And the theme you hear was, I think, the second one I wrote, but they kept wanting more. And I think I did about 25 different themes till they went back to that one. So that was by far the biggest pain in the ass.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wasserman.
Sure thing.
All right. Raphael, you're up next. Then Joseph follows you.
Um, out of all the songs you did, which one was your favorite one composing?
Oh, well, We Need a Hero for sure for Power Rangers. Yeah, that was my absolute favorite song.
Yeah, that was one of the good ones,
Absolutely.
actually.
That was a good
That's
Yeah.
the most iconic one actually as well.
Yeah, that's when things had to get a little bit more positive. So it's actually a political song, kind of talking about the lack of leadership anywhere any longer for anybody at any time, and how things were starting to dissolve. And unfortunately, I could kind of see what was coming. And now all they do is fight amongst themselves, and all we do is fight amongst ourselves. It's ridiculous.
Thank you, Mr. Wasserman.
Sure thing.
All right, Joseph next, and we'll take more questions from there.
Yes. My question is, what? This is actually coming from one of our partners, the Z and Izer podcast. It comes from Phenomenal. He asks, at what point did you come to the realization that you had a masterpiece when it came to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers?
Good question.
Never. I mean, there's been a couple times in the last maybe 10 years where I've been in the car and all of a sudden I just think, I should go listen to it. Pull up the version. I'm like, I don't know what it is. There's just something magic about that theme, but I guess it's really great. I mean, I like it. I'm disconnected from this stuff when I do it. When I go back and listen, it doesn't feel like it's me at all.
I can do that too.
Yeah.
I also
you
have
look at it.
a second question for you. This is coming from a member of our podcast who couldn't be here tonight, by the name of Demi. He asks, what was your muse when you were writing this song? What actually got your juices flowing?
They really just happened. Well, I knew they needed a theme, and I've been pushing to do some rock stuff for a while. And when I was up and coming at Saban and learning how to score, I always delivered stuff that was really energetic. And they said, kids don't want this. It's too much. It's over the top. Tone it down. Calm down. It's too much. And then after X-Men, then the door opened and everybody was more open to stuff that was going fast. So I think I took all the years of being in bands, even though they weren't really rock bands, but being in bands and loving rock so much. And it just all came out in that couple of hours writing that thing.
I will say it is one of your most iconic pieces of work, along with one of my other favorites is Mummy's Alive.
Yeah, Mummy's Alive is great. And that was, except for one word, I think I called the guy, instead of Scarab, it was like Scarab. And I remember I delivered the theme and they said, we love it, but what the hell were you thinking? You pronounced this wrong. So I went in and fixed that really quick.
Oh my goodness.
And it was fun doing all those, voices too. All the low stuff and really high stuff. It's fun.
At the current time, I'm looking at possibly a good 2 more questions in. So we are going to go with Elijah first, and then Okami might close it off. Go for it.
So if you had to choose one era, Saban era, Disney era, or any other era that you could choose that you wanted to do a score and compose for, which would it be and why do you choose that era?
Well, I think I'd probably go for the Disney era because for a couple reasons. First of all, it was Disney and they're great to work with. I had and Saban wasn't bad at all, but I mean, I dealt strictly with the head of music at Disney. There was no middle management trying to get involved. And it was great. And secondly, because technology had advanced, because when I did those original shows, it was all to tape. So if I was singing something, I'd have to pre-roll back up 30 seconds before I wanted to punch myself in, record a line. I'd have to wait for all the machines to lock, everything to lock, then record myself for a line or two. And if I blew it, I'd have to go back and do it again and again and again and again. Today, of course, everything's digital and super fast. So
Yeah.
I would, for no other reason, because just how slow it used to be to get anything done. It was painful.
Okay.
All right.
I like that.
I appreciate that. Okami, we have to finish this off and we have to cut the question short if you can.
Oh,
We're
I
running
have
real low on time.
a really short question.
Okay.
Mr. Ron, what was the most greatest theme you've done since you've been into music?
Well, I think it has to stick with that Power Rangers theme. I think that's my favorite TV theme in that genre that I've absolutely loved. And then, yeah, I do love Mummies Alive a whole lot. And of course, X-Men I adore. But, Power Rangers is the biggest thing, and it's got vocals on it that are just rocking, and that's fun. So I'm going to put it at Power Rangers.
That's pretty cool. Awesome. Ron Wasserman, my goodness. It's been a real honor, a real pleasure to have you on our podcast. It is an honor to have a legend of the Saban era.
Thank you so much.
In all senses of the way, man. And we are also looking forward we're also looking forward to having our own score coming out from you. Thank you very much for that.
Welcome.
I did send the link. The email is sent with the link to our YouTube page. So
Great.
Got that. And you guys, anything? Ron, do you want to post any of your socials before we decide to get back to battle?
Oh, if you want to find me, just go to ronw.com, and that'll lead you to all the paths, all the crazy stuff.
All right.
Okay.
Well, Ron, once again, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, and we'd love to have you back if you want anytime.
Absolutely. Let's do it again next year, and happy holidays to everybody.
Hope you all hear from now. All right.
Yeah,
we'll make it a date, man.
And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Merry Christmas to you, Ron. Thank you. And from all of us to the Power Rangers Multiverse podcast, it's time to go, guys. It's morphin' time.
May
Yes,
the
sir.
power,
Good night, guys.
power.
See you guys.
May the power protect you. And have a good
You
May
too.
the power protect
You
A
too.
good one.
Power
Swan.
protect y'all.
You too.